What is something normal that scares the shit out of you? Teeth, or more specifically, a medical problem with teeth. For me or anyone else. Just creep me out. Dreams where my teeth fall out are the worst. Since I have many dental issues, I'm so self-aware about my teeth it gets annoying. I also can't stand when my dentist's friends share something on social media concerning teeth with a photo, even if it's a whitening before and after picture. I'm doing it right now. Learning to drive. Especially because I'm taking lessons. And after my lesson tomorrow, I'm gonna be on the highway, and my lessons have a tendency to be really close together. Once you've been driving for a few years, it becomes a mundane, second nature kinda thing. Then friends and family start dying in car accidents, and you start to realize how dangerous it really is. I'd say that the big thing is to just not get too nonchalant. Always be aware of your surroundings and focus on the road, no matter how comfortable you are with driving. Aging. The thought of getting to a point where I won't be able to take care of myself anymore scares the living daylights out of me. I'm much less scared of dying than I'm of outliving my ability to do anything. Phone calls. Especially if it's not a number from my contact list. Closing my eyes when shampooing. I've seen too many horror movies to enjoy darkness. Interviews. Them. Tell us about yourself. Me. I still don't know how I got the job. Take it a notch further. Group interviews. Like, it's already hard enough to try to sell yourself to someone you've never met in the hopes of being able to support yourself. But then they make you sit with a whole bunch of people you don't know, and then you have to try to one up the other people too. I've only done a couple of group interviews and surprisingly enough, didn't get the job for either. I just completely can't think of any way to be authentic when I'm surrounded by strangers and have to market myself with their beady little judgy eyes watching me. Unexpected knocking on my door. I have nothing to hide. All my bills are paid, but for some reason I get a mild panic attack when someone knocks. It actually evokes immediate anger in me. I have to calm my face before I open the door. Feels like such an intrusion on my day. Putting my hand into the garbage disposal to clear it. No one else allowed in the kitchen, because I know they'll somehow turn it on. My wife broke a glass in the sink once, and it went in the garbage disposal. Clearing broken glass I couldn't see was the stupidest thing I've ever done. Lol, I'm fine with that, as long as nobody is anywhere near the switch. But my fiancé is terrified of it too, so he'll ask me to do it every time. I had to hire a handyman to install our dishwasher a few months ago. This older guy comes, reminded me a ton of my dad. So he hooks up the hoses and tells me he needs to pop a little plastic cap out of our disposal to hook the debris line to it. But he can't stick his hand in to get the cap out because he's terrified of sticking his hand in. So I tell him I'm cool with it. So he pops it from the outside and tells me to go for it while he feels around the hole to make sure it came out. Our hands brushed and he screamed so loud and high that even I jumped a good foot up in the air. We both just started dying of laughter and had to take a break for a while for his heartbeats to drop back to normal. This is gonna sound weird, but seeing things in the middle of the road at night. I was once driving home one night and turn a corner to see a dog in the middle of the road. Nothing weird, right? Completely normal sight in a suburb. Every instinct in my body was telling me to get the F out of there now. When I see stuff in the middle of the road at night, it doesn't matter what it is, I get chills. Goosebumps. My hairs stand on end and my palms sweat. It's happened with deer, dogs, people, raccoons, and even a trash can once. Can't explain it, but it terrifies me. That Lego dragon statue in the water outside the Lego store in Orlando, Florida. I recently found out that other people find it scary after discovering the submergenophobia subreddit. Grasshoppers. They just are too unpredictable, and it terrifies me. Frogs kind of too for the same reason, but not as bad. When I was about 10 I was helping the old woman across the road with her gardening when a frog jumped out towards her, and with the dexterity I'd expect from an athlete unleashed a perfect right foot volley on the frog like a prime Wayne Rooney and kicked the poor thing over into next door's garden. She felt so bad and said it was just instinct after it jumped out at her, but the way she perfectly did it made me think she was a secret frog kicker. The sound of someone riding a skateboard on the sidewalk behind me. I don't know why, but I freeze. Edit. Yes. I'm also unnerved by shopping carts behind me in the supermarket. I always pull over and let them pass if they are following too close to my heels. Apparently I was a killer in a past life. I would like to ab trucks. When I'm walking on a sidewalk and hear a truck coming up behind me, I die a little on the inside. Mirrors in a dark room. Like if you turn the light off in the bathroom before leaving or something. Feel like that's where the veil is thinnest there for some reason. Fun fact, if you were to ever see something in the mirror, it's because your brain is trying to fill in what's there based on a low stimulus, I think. It's called pareidolia and is why we see faces in objects and flowers or animals in clouds. I have an irrational fear that someone will break in and steal my parrot whenever I leave my house. Give it a knife that looks real, but you know, is fake and or dull. It would definitely stop me from messing with it. When cockroaches starts to fly, the problem is not when they appear, it's when they disappear. The future, and people asking me how I feel about something, because usually I have no clue how I feel about something, so I end up lying and just agreeing with them. It makes me feel so fake because everything I like and dislike generally based off of other people's opinion, because I seriously just have zero clue how I actually feel about things. The only things I'm certain that I do and don't like are things like food and music. Everything else, even things like my hobbies, I generally can't figure out if I actually like doing it or if it's because I grew up around people whose hobbies were the same as my hobbies. I only just realized this too. This is pretty normal and common as a young person, but the only fix for this is not being ashamed of not having an opinion about something. Just because they've thought about it and then put you on the spot doesn't mean you should be ashamed of saying I don't know. Plus we learn by watching others. It's called observational learning, so being interested in something because you saw someone else do it doesn't make it any less yours, so to speak. Confrontation. From knocking on a door to eye contact. I absolutely loathe this. Kinda weird, but when audio starts skipping when in playing my music, it scares me shitless. Space. Just looking up and coming to terms with how big it is and how little we know about it. Let's each stand up and introduce ourselves and say one interesting thing about ourselves. And as I try to rehearse my intro and get my facts right, I realize I'm boring and have zero likes and interest. Relationships. For me it isn't the relationship itself. I love that shit. However, the fact that your significant other can just fall out of love on a whim is what terrifies me. Had it happen once and I can't do it again. That little tiny chance and one scenario has me all effed up. This seems largely irrational compared to others, but someone driving behind me, like they don't even have to be close to me, they can just be doing their own thing, but I don't like it. When people are walking directly behind me, I basically start to sprint when I hear footsteps behind me. The ocean. I'm talking like out in the ocean, hundreds of miles from land, treading water, alone. Also, spiders. Feeling warm. I had a vacation to China when I was a child, and ever since I woke up in the hospital there, I've been very, and I mean very, sensitive to heat. It could be 20°F outside and I'd feel warm. The worst part is, usually when I get too hot, I have a wicked seizure and wake up on the floor with scraped knees or a bruise on my forehead. I dunno. Feeling warm terrifies me now because I just know I'm more likely to pass out. Freaking walking in the dark. You expect me to just walk comfortably when I hear a small noise in the bushes and I can barely see. I have irritable bowel syndrome, so the idea of going out to eat or eating in general with people frightens me, especially if it's breakfast or lunch. If I eat even a little, of anything except the blandest foods, I will have to urgently run to the bathroom. Possibly more than once. And it doesn't help that I'll be anxious about using the bathroom because I'm around people who will notice. And if I don't eat, people judge me for not eating, saying it's unhealthy, and then I have to explain my condition. In the end, I just do everything I can to avoid eating with people, which includes skipping any kind of invitations unless I have to, and then just eating some crackers or a small salad or something really light and bland. I'm sometimes okay with dinner. Not always. But sometimes my body behaves better in the evening. I can also control it by drinking and getting tipsy, which usually turns off my anxiety, so I'll be less likely to have an emergency. Still, I avoid it as much as I can. Fire alarms and sudden loud noises. I used to live in a building with an ear-splittingly loud fire alarm, and there was a period of about a month where it was having issues and would just randomly go off for no reason. Sometimes at like 4 AM. It was an absolute nightmare. Eyes contact. I don't know why, but when someone looks directly in my eyes, I will feel very uncomfortable and nervous. My hands will begin to sweat a lot, and my throat will feel like burning. My friends say that maybe it is because I'm lying or have done something wrong, but it's not. When I talk to other people, such as my teacher, friends, relatives, parents, etc., I often look at another spot in their face, like ears, noses, mouth, or else. Certainly not eyes. The same goes with when I practice public speaking or being awarded on the stage. I usually look at the ceiling or the clock or an empty space between audiences rather than their eyes. I think it may be because I'm scared of being judged or being noticed too much, and I'm trying to fix it so hard. A tip I've heard to avoid becoming anxious/self-conscious in our own head is just to pay attention to what the other people are doing even more. Usually we just overdo it in our own minds to an irrational level. Public speaking. My friends didn't really understand what a fear of public speaking meant till I showed them on my Fitbit how my heart was racing to about 150 BPM because I had to give a speech for an election that I was running unopposed in. Like, this is real.